Okay. Well, as the quickly recovering Mick Jagger once said, "Start me up," or something like that. We're starting them up right now. I was just talking to Wayne about the Rolling Stones. I didn't even like them. Went to see them in Orlando because of the Rolling Stones, and wow. And Wayne, you informed me about the Cottonwood tree. It reminded me of what they told me when I was going to the Azores in the Air Force. Jeff, there's a pretty girl behind every tree. Of course, on the Azores, there are no trees.
There are
And tell
no
us
women.
why the cottonwoods are here, Wayne.
They're cheap and they grow quickly. They're a trash tree is all I can say.
Well, I think I am finally winning the battle of Cottonwood Pass. So I'm feeling good about that.
Excellent. Well, you're looking good, my friend. Good to see you. Haven't been here a while.
Well, Wayne, this is our Not Your Normal Sunday morning show. It's our Not Your Normal Sunday morning sunrise service.
Yes. And I think this is the perfect way to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, if they can say that Jesus was in the grave 3 days and 3 nights between Friday afternoon and Sunday morning, we can say this is a sunrise service.
Yes.
It'd be just as accurate.
But, here's the conundrum. They try to say 3 days, but yet if you do it by the clock, it wasn't 3 days. It was barely 2.
Right.
But yet, those same individuals will go to the book of Genesis and swear that it was a 24-hour day.
Oh, I've never thought of that one. That's great.
Yeah.
And what you get is, it was inclusive reckoning, parts of 3 days and 3 nights. Well,
no.
I get part of Friday night, part of Saturday night, but where's that third night come in?
Yeah. Well, unless you're all for good behavior.
Well, Jesus did give for us, Wayne. Jesus did sacrifice for us. They say he gave his life. Well, what he really gave was his weekend. But we should be thankful anyway.
And you know what? We got the weekend.
He could have given us Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday or something.
No. What I mean, the weekend, W-E-A-K.
Oh.
The week. We got the weekend. He got whatever.
Right.
And speaking of hell,
Were we?
Well, absolutely, because it's all in the same
That's true.
Mainstream. So I had this conversation earlier this week with an individual, and it was remarkable. They had their epiphany. I said, if you take the concept of hell, what that is saying is that everyone that's doing the tormenting in hell is actually working for the guy upstairs. So this is a mafiosa. This ain't hell, brother. This is a payoff system.
I don't think I quite follow that logic about them working for the guy in.
All right. What would be the purpose for them to torment anyone if it's his command?
Gotcha.
Wait a minute. Why are you obeying him to begin with?
It's a good question. It's a really good question. But one thing people can be thankful for later on today is you're out there searching. You're not searching for plain white eggs. You're searching for those nice colored eggs. Remember, Jesus died, D-Y-E-D, for you.
And let me get this right. Easter is actually Esther. Esther is actually the god of sex. Isn't that right? God of
Ishtar, fertility.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sounds like a party to me.
Yeah, and people have been coming for 2,000 years, Wayne, and don't show any signs of letting up.
No. It just, I don't know. It's weird. It really is. It's very weird. And particularly when, as you know, when you come out of it, as I call it, breaking the God spell over your life, and you look back and you go, what? What was I thinking?
What was I thinking? And some, might be like the old country song, "What was I thinking? What was I drinking?" Because it just makes you wonder, how the hell did I fall for this for so long?
I got to say, the one thing that repulses me today is this whole communion thing. I have to tell you, it took me a long time, Jeff, to get that flushed out of me because, wow, I mean, it's like my wife and I were talking, cannibalism seems to be on the rise. And, it's like, well, give me the thigh muscle, man. I want it. That's the one that gets all the meat into it. But the whole drinking blood, eating flesh, whether metaphorically, symbolically, et cetera, it's still in the roots of, I don't know, would you say consumption?
Well, I mean, and look at Western society. Western society is all about consumption.
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, it really is a religion of consumption of blood when you get right down to it. Look at Easter. What are they celebrating?
Yeah, it's a blood sacrifice.
A human sacrifice, a
Yeah.
blood sacrifice, a child sacrifice, because remember, he was the only son of God.
Yeah.
And it's a great anchored to the fear and guilt control matrix because, as you know, if you've ever been to communion or ever been in church, Jesus died for you. If it hadn't been for your sins, he wouldn't have had to lose his weekend like that.
And you know what they won't answer for me today? Which Homo sinned? I don't know if it's Neanderthal, Denison, Cro-Magnon, Sapien, Sapien. They won't answer that question because that would help me a whole lot to see what sins this character died for.
And what is sin?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, if you look back at the Neanderthals, it's very evidence that they were screwing everything in sight. So maybe that was the sin.
Did you just hear that cough, by the way?
I did.
I'm trying to find something. My regular Zoom windows disappeared, so I don't know what happened.
Well, I see you, and you look good, and you're sounding strong.
But I can't mute myself, apparently.
Oh, well. So by the way, when they say his only son, then what about Cain?
What do you mean?
Well, it says that Cain was not of the line of Adam, so where did Cain come from?
Interesting topics.
You got to go, well, now wait a minute. They're very clear that Cain was not of the lineage of Adam. So could it be that Yahweh raped Eve and in fact Cain is his true firstborn?
Oh, that's an interesting thought for sure.
Yes, these things that we sometimes go, what the freak was I thinking? And how about this one, Jeff? Putin is in Israel today, right now.
Really?
Yes, sir.
What's Vladimir doing down there?
I have no idea. I have a friend, Katha, who lives in Beirut, and
I do too.
Yep, she's here, and she sent me the video. So it shows Netanyahu in his private room, as Putin comes in, and Netanyahu wouldn't get up.
Netanyahu would not get up as Putin came in?
Yeah, would not.
Really?
And I'm sitting there going, what's going on here? I mean, there is protocol. I mean, yeah. Putin. Look what Obama did to Putin. I mean, to Netanyahu. And why would Netanyahu show such disrespect? And I don't know why Putin's there. I really don't. All I know, he is there, and it's not being covered much in the American press.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Russia would have, I think I'm right in saying, the second largest population of Jews in the world after the USA.
I would say so. And in fact, if you look
maybe more.
Well, when I was, helping John Hagee, I know we brought over 100,000 Russian Jews to Israel.
Well, you didn't let any of them watch the Teletubbies, did you?
I don't know what they watched.
Well, John Hagee and the Teletubbies were promoting homosexuality, so I just want to make sure.
Well, what was his byline?
I never met a Twinkie I didn't like.
Yeah, this religion, you just got to love it. So the strange things going on in the world. We talk about this day, and, I respect everyone for their beliefs, but the questions that you and I were just talking about, they're never answered. I mean, they're like completely passed over. You do an excellent job in expounding on the fact that, you see, I can't worship in a God who I know is a murderer. I just can't, Jeff. I just, to me, that is the highest insult to our species is to murder us, because it means that we are of no value.
Right, not to them at least.
Yeah.
You know,
And
something just came in my head that when you just said, "No, I respect everybody's religion." I know we say that, and I know that's the proper thing to say. But I mean, just in reality, should we or do we have to ex- respect someone's religion if it's based upon or has one of its base sacraments to ritually rape children? Do we have to really respect someone's religion if it's run by a god that likes to kill women, children, men, boys, girls? Do we really have to respect religion based upon genocide?
well, that's what we've been taught.
Yeah.
And, listen, Islam is right behind that.
Oh, yeah.
I had this debate with an individual, and he was trying to show where Islam was a more pure religion. And I said, whoa, Jackson, you do realize that Islam came from the Vatican. And he said, well, no, there's no evidence. I said, oh, there's plenty of evidence of it. You just don't want to recognize it.
I've been looking for it, Wayne. I'd love to be pointed towards it. Everything I get pointed towards goes back to that Ribera guy who was a fake. So I need to see something beyond that. I'd love to believe it, and it makes logical sense, but I just can't find the actual documentation. I'll
send you the reference in this book here.
Please do.
Okay, get that out there. But so today, I asked this question, where is it written that we have to choose a God? Someone wrote and sent me the verse in Jeremiah that said, choose you this day whom you will serve.
Why?
And I wrote back, I said, but didn't you see the key word there? Serve. Serve comes from the word servitude, which comes from the word slave, enslavement. I said, so it's saying for you as a slave, who are you going to worship as your master?
I found my screen again. That's my happy face.
It's your happy face. He's there.
Sorry
Jeff
about that.
Doherty is now smiling, ladies and
gentlemen.
gentlemen.
Sorry for that momentary burst of
breaking the stoic look there. It goes right back from the beginning. Genesis 2:5, and there was no man to till the soil. And I'm going, I did yard work all day yesterday. If I had to do that all the time, that wouldn't be fun.
No,
it wouldn't be fun at all. I'm giving my life energy as a slave. I have to till the ground. And by the way, that ground wasn't tilled before I got there. So that means it's, none too easy.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. So are we just slaves?
Well, that would certainly fall in line with the Sitchin Anunnaki type scenario.
But isn't worship attuned to as much to indentured servitude?
Well, what is worship? Here's one of the postures of worship, or put your hands up or I'll shoot. Mm-hmm. On your knees is a posture of worship, or on your knees or I'll shoot. Yep. So, I think worship and subservience are the same thing.
I do too.
Now, some people are into that, but we're talking about religion today. So
it's the feathers that will always get you.
They make you sneeze.
All the time. So it gets down to this whole thing. So, kinetic energy. They talk about, I did a story this week, Jeff, and in fact, I've got a request in to do an interview with the lead scientist. He has done, and his colleagues over 10 years, thousands and thousands of cardiac patients who had died and been brought back to life. And they have made a stunning discovery, and that is they have found activity after the heart has stopped beating, after even rigor mortis has started to set into the body, the brain is still functioning.
That's interesting.
His conclusion is this: you live your death. You are physically dying.
I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, my wife, She was here during Columbine. She was actually a trauma nurse. She took care
Oh.
of a number of the wounded coming in. And we were discussing, because Clevo, he came in and apparently was using his method was the shotgun. And just randomly, and there's a point to this. I think there is a point where you have this blunt force trauma where apparently the soul or the spirit is pushed out. Consciousness doesn't have a time to actually cognify what's going on. It's the ones that where you die the natural death. So it would that or would that not be a form of hell to you? You're muted. You're muted.
I think it would be.
I think it would be too. Yes. And if there is the concept of such, then Jeff, it tells me that we should be training ourselves. I mean, if this is the eventuality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the reasons for my cold plunging.
Yes. I sent you that article. By the way, it's not just Jack Dorsey.
Right. There's a lot of people.
There's apparently a lot of the titans, the tech titans, they're doing it.
So is Tony Robbins, by the way.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tony he keeps on right in there. I mean, the dude has been around for decades.
Do you know he's only 52?
Is he really?
That's what I've read. I couldn't believe it. Maybe it's a typo.
Wow. I had another one of those moments yesterday. I had thought that Norman Lear had died. In fact,
All in the Family and all that?
Yeah. I mean, I thought for sure that I remembered distinctly that he died. And there was a whole thing about, all the programs that he brought, Archie and the whole bit.
Who's coming back, by the way, they say. They're rebooting All in the Family.
Yeah. And Norman Lear is directing it.
Oh, is he?
He's 93 years old.
Wow.
I'm going, what's happening?
There's no way that could be the same show. There's just no way.
No. I think Woody Harrelson is playing Archie.
He is.
Yeah, I think that's going to be something else.
I wonder who's going to be the dingbat.
Who was that? They announced her. Well, anyway.
Craziness. It really is. And what was with the lady that supposedly went out to Combine and they shut everything down and searched her down and apparently killed her?
No, that's not what happened. She bought a shotgun, which was...
she did, okay.
Yeah. Here in Colorado, they interviewed the guy. We know exactly, and it was legal. Now, the technicality that they came up with was the fact that the gun store owner, he ran her through the whole background check, the whole thing, was that in Colorado, you can buy a shotgun. If you're a resident or even out of state, you can come in and buy a shotgun and walk out with it. In Florida, there is a wait period. That's why she didn't buy it there.
She was a Floridian?
Yes. Yes.
You got to watch those people from Florida.
Yeah. So they let her off. We actually know the area. She at a campground up in Clear Creek County, and she was a tormented soul. I mean, so apparently it was very cold, and what they found her was in almost a fetal position with the shotgun underneath where her head was.
Oh, where it used to be, huh?
Yeah.
Ah, wow.
Yeah, that's how she left.
It just sounds like a weird story. I just was like, that's weird.
She had tattoos, of the two guys. Claiborne lived forever, and she wasn't even born when Columbine happened.
Wow.
She was 2 years after Columbine. Yeah. It's very sad that here was a human's life energy that just got off on a path. So that's what happened.
Not a great way to go.
It was not. It had to be horrifying. That's all.
So can I go out on a limb and say that her brain wasn't functioning after she died?
I have a feeling it was probably out there in the cosmos at that point.
Yeah.
Which brings me another question. I woke up the other morning, Jeff, can a spirit leave the Earth's atmosphere?
My off-the-cuff answer would be yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but seems like there's a whole lot. Ghost, paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
They film now. Cameras are everywhere. AI is everywhere, and now we know AI is, by the way, aware that there is this kinetic energy that's being recorded. What are we seeing? How is it that some stay, some seem to go?
Yeah. I can only speak from experience. All the ones that I have been in contact with that have stayed around are staying because they want to stay, they like it there, or on the very rare occasions they're being forced to stay by a stronger entity. But that's just what I've discovered in the bit of paranormal work, which I'm about to get back into that I've done.
Yeah, it's increasing all around the world. The film evidence is remarkable. Saw some from England where they have these windows where there is a steel bar that latches. You pull it up, and then you have a pin that the bar goes down. That closes the window, and it takes some effort to really pull it up. Well, this one house, whatever was there, literally was able to pick up that steel bar, move it over, set it back down, and then open the window.
Yeah, that's very rare. I would almost have to say that had to be human assisted, because that's very rare.
Well, you ought to check it out. Some of the footage now. They have
Absolutely.
one in office buildings. In one off, and it's not happening all around the world. Chairs, no one's there. These buildings are high. They're secure. When I used to own my. Anyway, the point is that you're seeing chairs literally go 20, 30 feet across the room. You see all the monitors all at the same time light up, which I can tell you that doesn't happen. All the systems are off, but yet all the compute monitors are going off at the same time. File cabinets opening, and so what are we seeing? I don't know.
Those are very strong spirits, and if indeed that's happening, you have to ask the question, why and why now?
Why and why now? So Friday, I was going to do a show on Mars. I had someone write me, and I've got Laura Eisenhower coming back because I want to ask her specifically about this. So it's all evidence, it seems, that we know that there were 2 spots on Mars that show signs of a nuclear radiation, the same kind that happened with the same type of isotopes from when you have a atomic bomb, hydrogen bomb go off. There's evidence that there seems to have been a culture up there, civilization up there, the artifacts that we're recording and seeing. The question I have is that if there was a war, I don't think that war was that long ago, and where did the attackers go?
That's an interesting point.
When I started to mention that, I have a server right over here that you can't see. It's just right off camera. And I had a hard spike. My system literally shut down. I couldn't reboot it for over an hour. So the question is, if this war was much more recent than what we have been led to believe, someone wrote me and said, potentially within the last 500 years. Pardon?
What would we be basing that on?
The evidence from the landers, Curiosity, the rovers that we have over there.
That's interesting.
A guy who's done a lot of research, and I've been checking him out, the Real Jimmy Roberts one, I think, is his YouTube channel.
Maybe we did it. Maybe people from here attacked Mars.
Isn't that odd? The Egyptians.
Maybe people from Jupiter did it, or Saturn. Or it could have been somebody from the dark side of Uranus, Wayne.
Well, in the book, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, this one right here, has the most interesting hieroglyphs.
Ooh.
The one of the spaceship. Yeah.
Is that the one that has the helicopter,
It's along in the same temple where they found that. Actually, I think it's the Hall of Kings, I think.
You know, our friend Scotty Roberts has a very interesting explanation for that, and he's one of us. And yet, his explanation is, and this is based on him being there and talking to the Egyptologist, and apparently, what he says is that that particular one with the what looks like the helicopter, the ship, and whatever else is there, that's actually there was a hieroglyph there. They covered it over and put another hieroglyph over it, and some of the stuff on top is coming off. So what we're really seeing is a combined image, and he thinks it's a pareidolia or whatever. It's us seeing what we want to see, and that's really not what the images are. So for somebody that's been there and talked to the Egyptologists that know, that's certainly interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's well, you kind of look at things. I had this conversation with my brother down in Houston yesterday that if man has been around this version 10, 12,000 years, let's say, I still contend that something's wrong. If we had a base IQ 10,000 years ago of 100, which is the base today, ours is still going down.
What's considered a good IQ?
100.
100, okay.
Yep.
What's a genius?
You start at 160.
Okay.
And then you go up above that. They may have to readjust it because the intelligence is dropping. So
wow.
We'll have to check those numbers out. But I know recently that's where I had the numbers. So if we but increased an intelligent quotient 0.5% every decade, every generation. Generation being 20 years.
And wouldn't you expect it to at least go up that high, that much?
You would think. Two scientists have said that we should have IQs of 2,718.
Wow. And why don't we? I think I know why, but interesting.
Well, they're saying that the research coming out of the Human Genome Project, now that Human Genome 2 is almost completed with the mitochondrial, looks like it was done deliberately.
There's got to be a dampening field at least set up.
You have hit it. The neuron, when it sends the thought, is covered by an electromagnetic shield, and it goes down the center of the thought until it hits the synaptic pathway it was designed for. Someone has jacked with us.
Is it electronic jacking, or is it in the actual hardwired part of us?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Michael Talbot, who wrote The Holographic Universe. I'm reading that book again, and I'm being blown away. The second time is just expounding on it. Is consciousness equated to thought?
Is consciousness equated to thought? I would say that if you think you're conscious, but not all thought is necessarily from consciousness.
Well, it's like if we have a state of consciousness where we're aware.
Or I think, therefore I am, right?
Yeah, but what do you do when you're asleep?
You still have thought, but you're not conscious. That's where I was trying to meander to.
Okay. Actually, that's the other way around. They think that consciousness
stays. Thought.
Yeah. Here's a question for you.
Well, consciousness, true consciousness shouldn't have to be spoken.
Are you spot on? Because they're finding out something about our brains. Our brains work with the spoken word, not so much the written word. So if consciousness is not equated to thought, and if consciousness is a state, then it comes down to the point, is consciousness equated to electrical activity of the brain?
That's a very interesting question. I would say probably human consciousness definitely is, but that which we are, which is not human, would certainly be able to be conscious beyond the death of this meat suit.
So Dr. Prina is, and I'm waiting for him to get back. His research has shown they're trying to define how is consciousness transmuted at this final point of death.
Great point. Great point.
And if it is, what is it being transmuted into?
Now, Wayne, I just had a thought.
Yes, sir.
This is the reason for Sunday morning, because while most people are sitting around, we're talking about a very deep, very intellectual, very far-reaching, conversation that can touch not only this life, but the life beyond. And how many people are there across this world right now that are still trying to debate with each other how to get 3 days and 3 nights from Friday night to Sunday morning? It's all to have us have a tempest in a teapot, fighting each other about ludicrosities instead of actually tackling the great questions of existence.
Boy, Jeff, you ought to write that down. You have a fine way to articulate that. That's all I got to say. Well spoken, my friend. Well spoken. And these are the questions that we're never asked in church. We're never taught, when the last Bible study group that my wife and I were with, I asked the question, how can you have this thing in Exodus, 3:21, that says that God sought to kill Moses? And I remember in this group, and this is what was said. You can't ask those questions. That's a sin for you to even ask that. What?
And if God was trying to kill Moses and he's God, how much sought would there be? Just kill him.
Why was he looking?
Exactly. Aren't you God?
And here's another one. So I'm reading this book, God Voices in the Bicameral Mind. And, this was so funny. I just laughed when I read this guy who was doing some really fantastic research. He died, unfortunately, too young. But anyway, he asked the question to a rabbi. He says, well, when it says in the Torah, God spoke, who was he speaking to?
Well, that's a good point.
There was nobody around.
Wayne, here's another thing. I was reading yesterday about this guy who happened to be a running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he died, and Randall Cobb, to his family, rest in peace. It says he died unexpectedly. Died unexpectedly. Are there expected deaths, or is that like a hidden? You hear that all the time. He died untimely. He died unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Do some people have they assigned to us a time to die, and sometimes do we really die unexpectedly? Is this something they're trying to tell us that they don't want to tell us?
I think he died appropriately.
Well, dude, there's never been an expected death.
Exactly. Well, unless they can give it to you when, listen, that's the thing.
Unless they've already got a plan for each one of us, is my point.
Yes.
How micromanaged are we? How tight is the net of the fear and guilt control matrix?
So talking about consciousness, my wife and I, because we have another grandchild coming, we know it's a grandson, and we're talking, and I'm reading this book, and I said, from a medical point of view, when would you say consciousness is observed with the fetus?
Oh, interesting question.
And she said, well, we have verified activity as recent as 8 weeks of insemination. 8 weeks. And
wow.
I'm going...
Most women don't even know they're pregnant at 8 weeks, do they?
Not most of them don't, no. Mm-mm. And I asked her, I said, would you say that a full-term fetus, now that at 9 months, is that child in there now conscious? By all accident, we know that they smile, they suck their thumbs. We know that there's times when they throw fits. Mothers know this. All women who've given birth know this. So think about.
I know it looks like aliens sometimes when you're on the outside looking, and you can see there's it's coming right through. I know it is.
So, are you conscious during your birth?
My only question would be, is there so much trauma that you would go into an unconscious state?
Or maybe that's part of the process.
Maybe. I do know this. People do have very cognizant and real memories in the womb and of the birth process.
And it tells me, it goes with my whole philosophy, that we're birthed into this death realm
Mm-hmm.
because the thing most people fear is that death is going to hurt.
Right.
Yeah. And am I going to be conscious of my death?
Oh, yeah.
Deep questions. I mean, it tells me, Jeff, that this is why I think that we're on this path of ascension.
Yeah.
All of us. I really do. I think many of us may get lost, but if we're conscious during this birthing process, that's a hell of an initiation, isn't it?
That really is.
I mean, it really is.
No wonder you come out crying.
Exactly. I just often wonder if we could just get ourselves together and realize that's the one thing we all do have in common. So that whole thing of consciousness, it fascinates me. It begins to, this theory that James came up, Julius James, was that he said that there was the early man, and he has Jonathan Cowan, who wrote a number of books, has helped him on this. It seems like there was about 3,000 years ago, actually I think it was 3,000 years ago, man had this bicameral mind, which was basically a bifurcated mind. In other words, God gave the command, which was left hemisphere. Man, the right hemisphere, obeyed. And this spread to, if you look at the Bedouins, nomads, tribal people, you see this replicated time and time again, not so much today, where you have the figure that is the God figure who speaks, and then you have the other part that's the subservient that obeys.
It almost reminds you of Moses and Aaron.
It does, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Very clearly.
Interesting stuff.
And
so would we be advancing in ascension, if you want to put it that way, now that we're able to not just, now we still hear whatever God is, but now we're not in the place where we have to automatically obey. Are we becoming aware of our sovereignty at least?
It is his belief, yes, that changed when I think it was about, when was it, 1100 BC, when the whole Mediterranean exploded, and subsequently the whole destruction that took place, which was subsequently at the same time, supposedly, with the exodus of the slaves, but in which there's no evidence, by the way, of that.
Not as much as a pot or a spoon or a fork.
But anyway, that something happened to us in that region of the world. There were no longer the leaders, no longer the gods to look to. When the decimation hit, the tsunamis hit, the ash that came down in the whole Mediterranean Fertile Crescent area, that changed us, where we no longer had this God servant, that we had to begin to think independently. And that's where it started.
And Henry Ford said thinking is the hardest work there is. That's why so few men do it.
Yes, that's so true. Very true.
And they don't want us to do it, do they? They just want us to, they want us to be efficient enough to be able to do the task they assign us, to pay our taxes without question, and to go on making the next generation of automatons. But they don't want us to actually sit back. They want us to sit back. If we ever do sit back and ponder, they want to make sure that there's a beer in one hand, a bong in the other, and the Kardashians are on the TV.
Well, I know you did the story on the decline of Christianity in America.
Yeah, isn't that great news? I mean, it's down 20% in 20 years, Wayne.
I mean, brother,
that is great news. Can I get an amen for the decline of Christianity?
The ramen.
Thank you, Jesus.
I want some more ramen noodles. Give me that. Anyway, this is So before we got going here, I was
Wayne, do we have anything to do with that? Can we pat ourselves on the back a little bit?
Well, the emails I get, and I know you get them as well, I think you and I have had a lot to do with it. In fact, I've been told that you and I are like on some major prayer list to deliver us from this deception that we have, that we would renounce our allegiance to Lucifer. And yeah, I'm going,
I
what?
put something on Facebook last night that kind of blew up. And somebody said that to me, Jeff, I'm praying for you. And what a Christian really, if a Christian says to you, I'm praying for you, brother, what they really mean is, you're a lost piece of shit on your way to hell, and I'm better than you.
It's the highest racism of
it is.
It is. It's all religion is racism.
But you know why God wants you to pray for people, Wayne, if you're a Christian? He wants them to pray for us, because if they send out that energetic prayer, P-R-A-Y, it helps fuel the things that are P-R-E-Y-ing against people like you and me.
It's a curse.
It's a curse.
That's what they're doing. They're cursing you. They're asking that you become subservient to their God. And here's the thing.
Ain't going to happen.
So I had to go out yesterday, the Home Depot, my favorite place.
Don't even start talking about Home Depot. Remember when that used to be a place of customer service and a place of quality products and a place where, you knew they would have it, and if they didn't, they'd find it, and if something went wrong, they'd make it right. It's not that place anymore.
Nothing's like that anymore.
Well, there's some things, but ain't many.
There isn't many. Yeah, I like going there because I love the smell of fresh cedar. That just it invokes that whole thing.
They got a fresh smell at Walmart too, Wayne. Not cedar.
Oh, I completely lost my train of thought.
Depot.
Yeah, what was my thought?
You had to go out yesterday. You had to go to Home Depot.
Yeah, what were we talking previous to that?
I don't know.
Oh, prayer. So the guy was talking at the cashier, and he says, I don't know how prayer brought up. And I said, prayer is nothing more than telepathy. He stopped, he looked, he says, what? I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to have to think about that one and put my stuff, and I walked. So, Jeff, isn't it all prayer? Telepathy? If God answers you, then you definitely have a telepathic connection.
You do.
Here's my point I'm trying to drive. I'm praying. God, just, bless Jeff, bless Jeff. I'm sending these thoughts out telepathically to the ether.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to answer it?
Well, think about that. Oh, please pray for Jeff and Wayne.
Yeah.
Please pray for. They're so lost. They're going to hell. And think of it's like putting blood and chum into the water. Which shark is going to pick up that scent and try to find the source?
Oh,
all they're doing is cursing you.
And that's why you have to stay on top of it,
But they feel good cursing you. I prayed for you for hours.
Yeah, it's like, don't waste your time.
Please just don't.
Live your life, Yeah, but anyway, that was the whole point. Prayer basically is nothing more than telepathy.
Yeah.
And how
what prayer really is magic. It is magic.
Oh, boy, there you go. Expound on that.
Well, because what is magic? Magic is, let's talk about what's black magic. Black magic is you attempting to use your intention to override the sovereign intention of another being.
Yeah.
So if you want Wayne to stop having his show and stop wearing shirts that say polytheism.
Well, I have one imaginary.
I have just one imaginary friend. Get Wayne to stop wearing those shirts. Please, God, get Wayne to stop wearing those shirts. You're putting your intention out to try to overturn Wayne's intention. So not only, my Christian friend, are you practicing magic, you're practicing black magic. Congratulations.
Woo! I have to give you a ramen for that one.
What's with the ramen, Wayne? I don't get it. Are you drinking ramen right now?
No. Oh. Amen.
Ramen. I got you.
Ramen. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I like it.
And I just started doing it because, I got so caught up for decades saying, amen, brother. Amen. Amen. Preach it.
Yep.
Preach it. You know, not going to shout you down because you're preaching good. And so I'm saying, wait a minute. Amen comes from ramen to begin with. So
It does. So Wayne, what if the whole idea of a Christ, not just Jesus, but the whole idea even of New Age, the whole idea even of Eastern thought, what if the whole idea of a Christ is the linchpin to the captivity and the continued captivity of humanity?
Wow.
Because if you think of the Christ or if you think of a Christ, what must you do? There's one thing you have to do.
You have to submit.
You have to externalize.
Oh, good point.
You have to externalize. And that word that we say Christ, the word really isn't Christ, it's anointed. Or anointing. Yeah, it's anointed.
Yeah.
And if we start talking about the Christ or the Spirit of Christ or the Christos, oh, I want to find the Christos, that means you're already assuming it's not in you. It's outside of you. But yet, the guy that you think is the dude that had that says the kingdom of God is in you. Something to ponder on Easter Sunday morning.
Reminds me of Lieutenant Dan when he asked Forrest, have you found Jesus? I didn't know I was supposed to be looking for him.
Is that what Forrest said?
Yeah.
How did I forget that? That's classic.
Exactly. But
I didn't know I was supposed to be looking for him.
Jeff,
we're not supposed to be looking for him.
That's the point. It's like, well, you know.
Might as well ask, did you find Forrest?
A whole thought, because what do we see people doing today all around the world? They're looking for, seeking this God. And now I look at it and saying, well, why does he want to hide? Why does it want to hide? Why doesn't this God, any God, manifest before humanity? I mean, we can see worldwide right now any disaster instantaneously. It's going to be before billions of people. You know what? Maybe that's exactly what they're planning.
It seems to me that any God that was God that would want to be found could very easily make himself known today.
I don't think it would be that big
or
of a
herself.
And I keep on saying, so today, it's almost expected you have to choose a God. Yeah? Which God are you worshiping? And that confuses me, because I'm going, well, if you're telling me there's more than one, what are they all like? On a board? You know? Allah, how many you got? About 1 billion. Okay. Let's see. Yahweh, how about you? The number's in dispute.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm both the Jewish guy and I'm also the Christian guy.
And the Islam guy, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, do you want to vote Republican or Democrat?
Yeah.
It's the same team.
Same thing. It's the same team.
Yeah. You know, Jenny Moonstone made a profound statement on the channel the other day. She said, I don't worship any gods, but I do respect a few of them.
Wise woman, that Jenny.
Very wise. And I thought about it. And a God doesn't, I'm thinking about if you have this idea of can you work with gods? Gods don't necessarily, they would prefer your worship, but they don't need your worship to stay alive. They need your attention. So there's some brokering between worship and attention.
Mm-hmm. Boy. You know, this is a good point to bring up then. I have always been, I am grateful for this life.
Me too.
I don't know who, what, or where, but I will sing praises in my time, and that's what I still do, to the one, to that gave me this consciousness. And I think that...
Do you know who that is?
I don't. But I have a heart of gratitude and thanksgiving. And I don't think that that's worship, because, number one, you're my friend. I am grateful for that. I have a heart of gratitude, and I'm thankful for it.
There's nothing. I think that's a key to being healthy and happy and longevity.
I think so too. And anyway, so I don't call it worship. It's kind of like it's a connected point. I mean, Thanksgiving is Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You know? So, and when my time is, I am going to do like that young woman who, did you see that story in Fox News this week? Matheson, what's her last name? 35. 2 years ago, she was diagnosed with cancer. She says, I'm not going to take the poison, chemo. She said, I will live my life and allow it to flow naturally. And so she wrote her own obituary.
Wow.
And at the end of it, she said, I know many of you would think that 35 years is not long enough. And she says, in one way, I agree. But she says, I want to let you know this. I want to thank my parents for allowing me to live my life the way that I saw and believed. And I'm here. And she said, my last words to all of you is this. She said, damn, what a ride.
Wow. Did she die?
She did. Yes. Aww. She died April 9th.
That's too bad.
She went over and, but it brings to that whole point, doesn't it?
You know, and we always say it's sad. Is it sad?
No.
Sad for us. I doubt sad for her.
I think if we would turn funerals into celebrations as a society, as a species, and stop this goddamn mourning, if you're mourning for someone who's lost, then what you're saying is that their life wasn't of any importance.
Yeah. You know, and it just brings to mind, good channel, Barnabas Nagy. If you haven't checked it out, it's worth checking out.
Barnabas Nagy, huh?
He's got some interesting stuff. And he was talking, he had this little funny thing on, but it made so much sense. Like, it was part of the fear and guilt control matrix, part of people controlling us. I mean, and even I do it. I'm going to start right now stopping it. You wake up, good morning. So the very first thing that you're saying to somebody in the start of the day is, I hope you mourn all day. I know you woke up and you're feeling pretty good, but time to start mourning.
Jeff, that is so freaking spot on. True story. I was doing a sales meeting back decades ago, and I was a little hungover, to be honest. And that's exactly how I wrote mourning. MOURN. And so I couldn't figure out why everyone was laughing when they came in. Boy, that is so spot on, my friend.
I mean, that's what we do. I gotta stop saying that.
I love
it. Good day.
Good day. Yes. Yes. Or what I like to do is say salutations.
Yeah, but nobody knows what the hell that means.
But they don't anymore. It's like, well, what the hell are you saying that?
But I think his video was about English is a spell. And I mean, that's definitely a spell. So if I say to you again, good morning, please reach out and smack me, because I don't want to say that anymore.
That is so cool, Jeff. That is.
Maybe the Australians got it right, because they always say good day, right?
Good day. I mean, isn't that the proper way?
Yeah.
Those Aussies.
Good day.
Love you, folks. Love you.
Good afternoon. Or what's that afternoon? There's got to be probably something bad about that, too.
The way they have us bound. Yeah, it's true. So, Jeff, guess what I'm getting my wife for her birthday?
Well, she's not going to have to guess in about 30 seconds.
She already knows.
Oh.
We're going to go and do
sensory deprivation. I heard you talk about this.
Yes. So
that's about $100 a pop, isn't it?
Actually, here in Denver, because there's a number of them, I think it's about $70. But yeah, round it off.
You know, I'm going to be in Denver in May. I should partake of something like that.
You could. There is several. I live in Highlands Ranch. Now, where are you coming in for May?
We're going to be staying at the Denver Tech Data Center.
Okay. That's down off. I know where that is.
For LeakCon. And I will have a table there if you want to come out and say hello.
I'll come out and say hello to you.
If you want to come out and give me some shit, I do have 2 black belts and a concealed carry permit, so keep that in mind.
Are you going to be at the Sheraton, or where are you going to be at?
It's at the Marriott
The
Tech Data
Marriott.
Center. Yep.
Yep. So cool. Well, we'll have to get a chance. I'll come down and see you.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go out and see.
Are you going to go up to
Doc's grave?
Holidays up there? Yeah.
We should have a live, not your normal Sunday show from LeeCon.
When is? I mean,
May 17th, 18th. Let me see. It is actually on May 18th and 19th.
Okay.
17, 18, 19.
Excellent.
Which is not long from now.
I'll come down and see you and say hello. Do that.
I'm sure Rex would like to say hello to you.
You know, I've written to him a number of times. I never hear back from him. I don't know if he's just overwhelmed. Rex. It's Rex again. It's like, God, okay.
Yeah, Rex is, there's our world and then there's Rex's world. And there's this big time spatial difference between the two.
Yes, there's a whole different reality on that.
There is. There is.
We'll definitely hook up, no doubt about it. But you should really check into that.
I would. And when are you doing it?
I think you have to make your reservation, and we're doing that, and I think it's probably next weekend.
How long do they keep you in there?
1 hour. So 1 hour. They're beautiful. I mean, they say it's quite amazing.
Can you hit the eject button if you have to?
Yes, there is the panic button. Yes. And apparently people do hit it.
Now, do they advocate that you shroon up or something before you go in there?
Actually, they advocate for you to be of a sober mind.
Okay.
And I think I would recommend that. I mean, if most people don't know what it is to be deprived of all sensory stimuli.
Yeah, so you're floating in warm water, comfortable water, no sound, no light, no nothing.
Mm-mm. The lights that happen, I did this years ago, decades ago, and it's nothing like they're doing today. The saline is perfect. I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
They say good.
Do you think you'll have some profound experiences?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
What if you fall asleep?
A lot of people do. They'll come in and wake you up.
So you're not going to fall asleep and go under and drown. They open up to a corpse.
No. In fact, I think the way that the pod sits is almost where your head won't actually go into the water itself.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, are you sky-clad, so to speak, when you're doing this?
They actually have garments that you put on, because they have to empty each session out and clean it and the whole bit.
Right. Yeah. Because I'm sure there's sometimes people fall asleep, they might urinate in there, and
it happens quite often. You're in a warm vat of water. It's just like when you were back in mama's belly.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true. And maybe, wow, that's a very good point. I'm going to have to go in it with that type of approach. Is it really what we're looking for, is getting back into that environment where safe?
You know what? That suggests that many of the answers to our problems and many of the answers to our potentiality may lie back there in the womb.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I happen to think, I did the genealogy DNA background on who
That surprised me that you did that, Wayne. I want to do it myself, but I thought, do I want to give him my DNA? But it's just like, I mean, dude, I was in the military for 6 years.
They got your DNA.
Reams of my DNA.
In fact, they got your name in a cupboard right there where they go, oh, that's Doherty. Yeah.
They probably got 6 Jeff clones are like, the hell, there's one is too many. Get rid of those things.
So my wife got hers yesterday. Mine came in a week early.
I saw you do your show on yours.
Yeah, Jeff, it was a surprise. I mean,
you got a little Jew in the woodpile I saw there.
I'm sorry, we were laughing about that.
Ashkenazi Jew, no less.
No less. Where'd that come from?
Funny.
Sorry, but you know what? The 10% Italian. Now I can dig that.
Wow.
So Lynn got hers back, and she's like 80% English.
No kidding.
I said, well, honey, there's no, she thought that she had American Indian in their family. That's what her family had always said.
Yeah, so did Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, not so. And for Lynn and I, we don't have any Indian in us. None. I mean, it's just not there. And I said, well, now what are you going to do? She said, well, she says, Pocahontas, I'm not.
Dude, I mean, Elizabeth Warren, she's supposed to be Native American. Aren't they like peaceful people and stuff? And you put a peace pipe in her hand, she just wants to beat Donald Trump over the head with it.
Oh, it's gone nuts. And, again, I'll tell you what, we are watching, I believe, the collapse of the democratic system here. I think.
But Wayne, what really pisses me off is that Bernie Sanders can, have to release his taxes and shows he's one of the top 1% earners in the country. And then he says, I'm not going to apologize for writing a best-selling book. And they let him get away with that. If they took away all the money that Bernie Sanders earned from that book, he'd still be in the top 1% of earners in America. And the question I want to know, and there needs to be a Mueller report, there needs to be an investigation of how these people can be in Congress for 30 years making $100,000 a year and amass fortunes of the hundreds of millions. How the hell are you doing that? And part-time, Wayne, they do it part-time.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to try to do that full-time. They do it part-time. How? Where's the money coming from? There's an investigation for you.
Well, why is it that Congress, senators and Congress persons, they can make trades that we can't?
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they can do trading on inside information and not be prosecuted for it. You and I would get our ass sent to jail.
Well,
I
maybe that's how they amass
why
this
is it that the OAC, why aren't they investigating her boyfriend and her campaign manager for embezzlement, misappropriated funds, doing the RICO Act of nearly $1 million? Why is it that we have this? This is...
Dude, she was a 29-year-old bartender.
She is a plant. She is a made-up image. She is the personification of something that doesn't exist.
Exactly. She's a straw woman, stick figure.
So, she's a straw man.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and they don't even do it. I saw this interview, and she's like, President Trump he is guilty of impeachable offenses. And she's on a radio show, and the guy says,
what?
Well, what are those offenses? And she's like, well, there's a lot of them. And she says he's impeached. He's guilty of impeachable offenses, but I can't tell you any right now.
Yeah. And, it's going crazy. I mean, I look at these adults and I'm going, what I'm seeing is this commercial where they're eating the jelly bears. I'm expecting these toddlers. That's all they are. They're toddlers. They're spoiled. Oh, man, don't even get me started.
It's hilarious. Then you got on the other side empty suits like Mitt Romney, so it's all a joke.
The Republicans did squat. What I don't understand is why is no American up in arms about what this Congress is doing by passing appropriations on budgets that now exceed $2 trillion? Why aren't we hearing about that in the media? Why aren't we hearing
we don't care anymore, Wayne. People don't care anymore.
We're in the midst of a retail apocalypse. Do you know that 70,000 stores have closed in the last 2 years? 70,000 stores, retail stores.
Wayne, are they trying to keep us home? The only reason they want us out is to go to work?
Yes, and now they're changing that. Do you know that they have congestion taxes now? San Francisco, New York City, Chicago.
I'm a little congested. Do I got to pay?
You're going to have to pay. So I think that this is nothing more. Uber and Lyft is now moving in Seattle, where now you have the grocery stores, Kroger, Safeway, where they'll pack your groceries. You can drive up. Well, now, because Uber and Lyft are looking for new revenue sources, all the Krogers, the Safeways are going to start offering Lyft and Uber to bring your groceries to your door.
Yeah, they'll already bring you the toxic waste that comes from fast food places straight to your door. You don't have to go through the drive-thru anymore.
I think this is the systematic imprisonment of America.
That's the question, is why do they want to keep us at home?
Yeah. It's easier to round you up.
It is easier to round you up, and there's less opportunity that you'll see things. I mean, if you want to start thinking, oh, is there stuff up there they don't want us to see? Is there ability to hide it? Continue, are they losing the ability to continue to hide it? Who knows, man? I mean, I'm not a Planet Xer. I'm not one of those guys, but I'm sure there's a lot of stuff up there that they don't want us to know is there.
Jeff, AI is watching us all. You and I, we do YouTubes. We do podcasts. I get an email on my corporate account. I don't even share this with anyone. It's an advertisement in how I can make my face look better on camera.
No shit.
No shit. I told Lynn, I said, what? I said, no one has this account. How would anyone know that I was on camera?
So Wayne, we all have, gone and looked at something on the internet. We get the rebound advertising for all the types of that product. A lot of us have said, oh, I was talking about this and it started showing up in my social media. Have you yet, and we're way over time, but have you yet had the instance, and I haven't, that I can remember, where you're just thinking about something and it starts showing up, the advertisement in all of your feeds?
Yes, sir. In fact, Lynn and I had an episode yesterday. We think our television, I know our television has a two-way thing.
You know how crazy that sounds? It sounds like we're nutty people.
I know.
But it does.
But it's true. So we're talking about looking at some property.
Right.
And sure enough, 2 hours later, in the Gmail accounts.
But have you ever just thought about something and not verbalized it and then start showing up in your accounts?
I'm going to try that.
I am too. That's a really good, good experiment, thought experiment. Yeah. Something random that you wouldn't normally think of.
Well, I'm convinced they're you said something that's it's imprisonment.
It really is.
It really is.
Wow. Well, that's another Sunday morning show, Wayne.
I tell you, Jeff, I like them.
I discovered something here. I haven't been able to see the chat the whole time, and that might be the way for me to do it from now on. Just don't even see the chat.
It's going like you have to have a speed reading class.
Sometimes I get distracted with the chat.
I couldn't talk on that. I think it's like, zip.
And every now and then I get passionate with someone in the chat, and they don't always receive it in the spirit in which it is intended.
They didn't feel the love?
Sometimes they don't feel the love.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go. Well, Wayne, it's been a good time, and we'll do this again next week. What do you say?
We shall. Last week I was up at a place where I didn't have internet. By the way, did you get a chance to see Tiger Woods?
You know what? I have a strong dislike for the man Tiger Woods. I really do. I don't like Tiger Woods.
You don't like Tiger Woods?
Don't like Tiger Woods. Don't like the way he's lived his life. Don't like the stuff he's done. Don't like his attitude. Tiger Woods really got me upset about a comment that he made. But anyway, I don't like Tiger Woods. But stepping back from the man Tiger Woods, what he just accomplished was one of the great athletic feats of all time. To go 14, 15 years between winning the Masters is absolutely incredible, and that should be an inspiration to everybody that has a dream that they don't think can happen. If that can be done, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of things that you can do. That was borderline miraculous, and he deserves hearty congratulations, even though he's a jerk.
He's an asshole, but he's a jerk. But Phil Jackson, did you hear what he wrote?
No.
He said for the first time, he says, in decades, he said, I actually got chills. And I thought, well, here's the guy that we lived during the Chicago Bulls dynasty. And wasn't that fun?
It was, and in spite of myself, I found myself watching Tiger, and I actually found myself weeping when he won it.
I did too. You can't help it. I mean, when his son was there, 20 years ago, it was his father.
Yep. And this guy couldn't even stand up straight.
Yeah.
His back was shot.
Well, thank you, Susie.
Should he walk away?
Yes.
Should he hang it up and walk away? I'm done.
I think he wants to top Jack's.
But how
record.
far is he from Nicklaus? How many majors?
2.
Only 2?
Yeah, only 2.
He could do that.
I think he can. Yeah. 3, excuse me. He's on 15. So I think he can get 3 in the next 2 or 3 years.
It doesn't have to be the Masters, just majors.
Just needs to be another major.
He can do that. He can win 3 in the next 3 years.
Yeah. Ah, brother, what a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. And yeah, so you have to hats off to Tiger Woods.
Yeah, it gives me inspiration.
Me too.
It really does. I'll be celebrating my 64th year on this planet, so coming in a couple of months. So there you go.
How old is Tiger, by the way?
42.
42. Okay.
Yeah, he's still young.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm right. Someone could tell me if I'm not. He's
Close.
still a young guy.
Close.
Gary, you a stellar golfer? Gary Baxter's in there saying, I'm a stellar golfer.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, nice to have you with us here this weekend. Hope that you have a safe and prosperous rest of your weekend. Wayne, same to you, and I hope that you enjoy the nice breakfast that I know your wife is preparing for you.
She's cooking in there. She is.
I could smell it from here.
I know you can.
All right, Wayne. Nice to see you, brother.
Thank you, everyone.
Nice to see every one of you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care now.